The Galactic Empire, a vast collection of powerful species that controlled the stars, ruled over thousands of planets. They had conquered countless worlds and wiped out anyone who dared to challenge them. To the Empire, humans were nothing but an insignificant race on a tiny planet called Earth, in a small corner of the universe. One cold morning, a fleet of sleek silver ships appeared in Earth's sky, making no attempt to hide their presence. They were the first wave of an invasion force from the Empire, and their mission was clear. Earth had grown too powerful and must submit to the Empire's rule or face destruction. The Empire's envoy, an alien named Zorak, stood on the bridge of his flagship. His species, the Ithar, were known for their sharp minds and cold efficiency. To them, the idea of a primitive species like humanity standing in their way was laughable. "It's time to end this human experiment," Zorak muttered to himself as he observed the blue planet below. He gave the order. The fleet moved into formation, and the first wave of weapons were launched. Powerful energy beams struck Earth's largest cities, knocking out power grids and causing chaos. Zorak was confident. Within hours, humanity would kneel before the might of the Galactic Empire. Back on Earth, the leaders of the world were scrambling. The sudden attack caught them off guard, but humans were nothing if not resourceful. In every nation, governments quickly moved to protect their people. Military forces were called into action, and scientists worked tirelessly to analyze the alien technology that had appeared above them. Among the leaders was a woman named Jae-hyun Lee. She was not a politician, but a strategist, known for her quick thinking and unorthodox methods. Jae-hyun had always believed that humanity's greatest strength was their ability to adapt, to learn, and to overcome impossible odds. When the first attack hit, she was in a command center deep underground, watching the battle unfold on multiple screens. "We need to fight back," Jae-hyun said, her voice calm despite the chaos. She turned to her team. "Gather every scientist, every engineer, every soldier. We have to find a way to turn this around. Now." The Terran Accord, a coalition of Earth's nations, was quickly formed. The message was clear. Humanity would not surrender. They would fight, not just to survive, but to protect their way of life. Within days, humanity had taken its first step toward resistance. Earth's scientists had reverse-engineered some of the alien technology from the ships that had fallen to Earth's atmosphere. It was not enough to turn the tide yet, but it was a start. As the days passed, more ships from the Empire arrived, each larger and more menacing than the last. Zorak's fleet grew, and the attacks became more devastating. But humans were learning. They adapted faster than the Empire could have imagined. Earth's military, with help from the best engineers and scientists, managed to create the first line of defense, orbital platforms designed to counter the alien weapons. They were not perfect, but they were a symbol of humanity's refusal to bow down. For the first time, the Empire was faced with an unexpected problem. Zorak stared in disbelief as one of his ships was hit by a barrage of human-made energy beams, its shields collapsing in seconds. How is this possible?" he muttered. His fleet had always been able to destroy entire planets with ease, and yet this small, insignificant world was fighting back. Humanity's resilience had caught them off guard. Jae-hyun watched the victory unfold on her screen. She didn't smile. She knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would not stop until Earth was under their control, and humanity had only just begun to show its strength. But Jae-hyun believed in one thing above all else. Humans never gave up. They had made that mistake before, and it had cost them. "We've got their attention," Jae-hyun said, standing tall. "Now let's show them who they're really dealing with." The battle for Earth had only just begun, and the Galactic Empire underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. Zorak's fleet had already launched several devastating attacks on Earth's cities, but each time they struck, humanity learned, improved, and fought back harder. The Empire's leaders were growing frustrated, but they were determined to finish what they had started. On Earth, Ji-hyun Lee was leading a team of military commanders and engineers, working tirelessly to build new weapons and defenses. The Terran Accord, now united under the threat of the Empire, was preparing for the next wave of attacks. Every day, humanity grew stronger and more organized. Ji-hyun knew that they couldn't just defend themselves. The Empire was too powerful, and if they kept playing defense, they would eventually lose. They needed to take the fight to the Empire. "We have to strike first," Ji-hyun said, standing in front of a massive map of the Earth, dotted with red and blue markers. "We can't wait for them to come to us. We need to disrupt their supply lines, take out their command centers, and make them feel the pressure." Her plan was risky, but it was their only option. She gathered her team and presented the strategy. Humanity would begin small-scale raids, targeting key supply depots, energy sources, and communication hubs across the Empire's vast territory. These strikes would not only slow down the Empire's advance, but also send a powerful message. Humanity would not be easily crushed. Meanwhile, back in the Empire's flagship, Zarak was furious. The attacks from Earth had been more damaging than he anticipated. Their orbital defense platforms were beginning to make a real difference, and the Empire's fleet had suffered losses. This small, primitive species was becoming a real problem. "How are they doing this?" Zarak demanded, slamming his fist on the console. "These humans are supposed to be weak, unorganized. Why are they fighting like this?" His officers had no answers. The Lither species, highly intelligent and calculating, could not understand how humans, a species they considered inferior, were able to adapt so quickly. The Empire had always crushed lesser species without breaking a sweat. But this was different. Humanity was learning from every attack, using their creativity and resourcefulness to turn the tide. In the hidden underground labs of Earth, human engineers were working day and night to reverse engineer the technology they had recovered from downed Empire ships. The process was slow, but their progress was incredible. Within weeks, they had improved upon the alien designs and developed new weapons. The first new weapon humanity built was a devastating electromagnetic pulse, EMP device. It was designed to disable the advanced computers and drones that the Empire relied on for their attacks. The device was small but powerful, capable of disabling entire fleets of ships or even entire cities if used correctly. Ji-hyun's team worked quickly to deploy the EMP devices. They launched a series of covert operations across the galaxy, infiltrating Empire-controlled planets and using the EMP to disable critical systems. The results were immediate. Imperial ships were left floating in space, completely disabled, and Imperial forces on the ground were left without communication or supplies. The Empire was starting to realize that humanity was not what they thought. Their initial arrogance had blinded them to the true strength of this young species, but now they had no choice but to take humanity seriously. On Earth, Ji-hyun was finally seeing the fruits of their labor. Their first major victory had been a success, and it sent a shockwave across the galaxy. The Terran Accord had just launched a daring raid against an Empire space station, and in a matter of hours, it was destroyed, along with hundreds of soldiers and officers. It was a clear message. Humanity was no longer afraid. "We've made our mark," Ji-hyun said to her team, standing in front of the map once again. "Now we need to prepare for the next stage. We are going to hit them where it hurts most." The Empire's arrogance had led to their first major mistake. They had underestimated humanity. And now, humanity was showing the galaxy just what they were capable of. The Empire's once unchallenged reign was beginning to crack. The war had become a battle of wills. The Galactic Empire, once so confident in its power, now found itself facing an unexpected challenge. Every move they made was met with new resistance, and every time they thought they had humanity on the brink of defeat, the humans bounced back stronger than before. On Earth, Ji-hyun Lee's strategy had shifted. No longer were they only defending against the Empire's attacks. They were actively fighting back, spreading the war to every corner of the galaxy. Their tactics were unconventional, but they were working. Humanity was forcing the Empire to adapt to their every move. Zarak, the Empire's lead commander, had watched his fleet suffer losses, but the worst was yet to come. Despite their technological superiority, the Empire's forces were starting to show cracks. They couldn't keep up with humanity's unpredictable strategies. Zarak knew they had to crush Earth soon or risk losing the entire galaxy to these stubborn humans. "Send in the reinforcements," Zarak ordered. "We need to end this now." The Empire's fleet, now massive and more prepared than ever, launched a full-scale assault on Earth. Massive ships moved toward the planet, their weapons ready to obliterate everything in their path. This time, Zarak planned to annihilate humanity's resistance in one swift blow. But humanity had grown stronger. Ji-hyun and her team had spent weeks preparing. Earth's military had become more coordinated, and the technologies they had reversed from the Empire were being used in ways the Empire never imagined. Their orbital defense platforms had been upgraded, and new weapons had been developed. The EMP devices were now much more powerful, capable of disabling entire fleets, not just individual ships. The first wave of Empire ships arrived, but they were met with resistance. Earth's newly developed countermeasures made their way into battle. Small, nimble human ships moved quickly, dodging the Empire's large, slow-moving vessels. The Empire's massive warships fired their energy weapons, but humanity's new shields held strong. For the first time, Zarak saw that Earth was not as helpless as he had thought. While the space battle raged above, on the ground, human forces were working tirelessly to stop the Empire's invasion. Cities were fortified, and military forces fought back with renewed determination. The Empire's ground troops, genetically engineered for war, moved through Earth's forests and deserts, but they were not prepared for the guerrilla tactics humanity had perfected. Ji-hyun had learned from the Empire's mistakes. She knew that this wasn't a fight for quick victories. This was going to be a war of attrition, a battle to wear down the enemy until they no longer had the strength to continue. Humanity would not defeat the Empire in one strike. They would chip away at their forces, slowly and steadily. The Empire's resources began to stretch thin. Their supply lines were attacked constantly, their warships crippled by EMP strikes, and their troops outnumbered on the ground. Humanity wasn't just fighting the Empire. They were fighting for their survival, for their future. And every small victory, every battle won, sent a powerful message. Humanity would not give up. The war, once a one-sided battle in the Empire's favor, had turned into a prolonged conflict. It was no longer about who had the most powerful weapons. It was about who could hold on the longest. And humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections, was proving to be the most relentless of them all. Back in the command center, Ji-hyun's team watched as the next wave of Imperial reinforcements arrived. The Empire had not given up on Earth, and they would not stop until they had wiped out humanity completely. But Ji-hyun was undeterred. "We'll hit them harder this time," she said, her voice steady despite the pressure. "We've learned from their tactics, and now we know how to beat them. We won't let up until they're on their knees." The war was far from over, but humanity's determination had never been stronger. The Empire was beginning to realize just how much of a mistake they had made. They had underestimated humanity's strength, and now they were paying the price. The battle was far from won, but for the first time, humanity felt like they had a real chance. The Empire had made a grave error when they decided to challenge Earth, and humanity was ready to prove that their greatest mistake was ever underestimating them. The war had stretched on for months, and Earth's resistance continued to grow stronger. The Galactic Empire's once invincible fleet had been battered by countless defeats. Each victory for humanity sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Empire's leaders, once so confident, now found themselves in a desperate fight for survival. Zarak stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the countless star systems that the Empire had once controlled. They were all slipping away. He had underestimated humanity, and now the Empire's once dominant forces were crumbling before their eyes. He clenched his fists, his mind racing. How could this happen? He thought. How could these primitive humans be so strong? His thoughts were interrupted by a message from the Empire's War Council. They had received word that rebellions were breaking out across their empire, fueled by the successes of humanity's resistance. The galaxy, once under the firm control of the Empire, was falling apart. Zarak, you are ordered to return to the capital and regroup. The Empire's future is at risk. The message concluded. Zarak knew what he had to do. He would return to the capital, but he would not retreat in defeat. He would make one last push to crush humanity once and for all. The Empire would either win, or it would fall forever. On Earth, Ji Hyunli was preparing for humanity's final strike. The Terran Accord had grown stronger than ever. A united force of human military, engineers, and scientists was now ready for the decisive battle. They knew that this was the moment to end the war, to put an end to the Empire's reign of terror. But Ji Hyun was not taking this lightly. The Empire was still powerful, and they would not go down easily. She and her team had studied the enemy's movements, and they had developed a plan that would cripple the Empire's ability to fight back. Humanity's most daring mission was about to begin. The plan was simple, yet incredibly risky. Strike directly at the heart of the Empire, its capital world. Zarak had ordered all remaining Imperial forces to converge on Earth's system, preparing for a final, all-out assault. He thought he would destroy Earth once and for all. But what he didn't know was that humanity had already anticipated his every move. With the help of the rebels within the Empire, humanity had gathered crucial information about the Empire's defenses on the capital planet. Jae-hyun and her team had identified the most vulnerable spot, a hidden weapon beneath the Empire's stronghold, a planet-destroying device that had the power to obliterate Earth and any planet in its path. The Empire had hidden the weapon deep underground, far from the reach of conventional forces. But humanity had something the Empire did not: resourcefulness. They used the very same guerrilla tactics that had worked against the Empire's forces to infiltrate the capital's heavily guarded zones. The team of human operatives, led by Ji-hyun herself, landed on the capital planet. They moved quickly and quietly, using stealth technology and advanced sabotage equipment to make their way to the weapon. The Empire's forces were stretched thin, distracted by the ongoing attacks and rebellions across the galaxy. This was humanity's chance. As they neared the weapon's location, Ji-hyun's team encountered a small group of elite Imperial soldiers. There was no choice but to fight. The battle was fierce, but humanity's soldiers, trained in both traditional combat and tactical warfare, were ready. They fought with everything they had, taking down the Imperial soldiers one by one. Finally, they'd reached the weapon. It was a massive machine, surrounded by layers of security, but Ji-hyun's team had come prepared. Using the data they had gathered from the rebels, they were able to disable the machine's primary power source. The countdown to activation was stopped in its tracks. At the same time, a coordinated assault on the Empire's fleet was underway. Humanity's forces, now more organized than ever, struck with everything they had. The Empire's ships, already weakened from months of conflict, were no match for the relentless human assault. One by one, the Imperial ships were destroyed. Zarak watched in disbelief as his fleet was torn apart. His flagship, the last remaining symbol of the Empire's power, was disabled by a direct strike from one of humanity's new weapons. He knew that the war was over. On Earth, Ji-hyun stood victorious. The Empire's weapon was destroyed, and their forces were in retreat. Humanity had not just survived, they had won. The Galactic Empire, once the most powerful force in the galaxy, had been brought to its knees by a small, determined species. Ji-hyun allowed herself a brief smile. The war was over. But humanity's fight was not just for survival, it was for the future. And now, they had it. The war was over. The once mighty Galactic Empire had crumbled. Their fleet was scattered, their strongholds fallen, and their forces in retreat. Zarak, their greatest leader, had disappeared into the depths of space, but the damage had been done. Humanity had won. On Earth, the celebrations were massive. People filled the streets, cheering, singing, and embracing each other. The long struggle had cost lives, and the war had been brutal, but humanity had overcome the impossible. Ji-hyun Lee, the woman who had led them through the darkest days, stood at the center of it all, watching the people she had fought for. But Ji-hyun was not celebrating. She stood quietly, her eyes looking out over the bustling crowd, lost in thought. The victory had been hard-earned, and she knew it had come at a great cost. The future of Earth was uncertain. The galaxy was in ruins, and though the Empire was no more, new challenges awaited humanity. "We did it," one of her officers, Captain Ju, said as he approached her. He was smiling, his face tired but filled with relief. "The Empire is finished." Ji-hyun nodded, but her expression was serious. "It's not over," she said softly. "The Empire was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. We have to rebuild not only Earth but the galaxy. And there are others out there who might see us as a threat now. We'll be ready for them," Captain Ju said confidently. Ji-hyun turned to him, her face hardening. "I hope so. But we must remember, this victory was not a guarantee. It was earned through every battle, every sacrifice, and we can't afford to forget that." Across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's victory were felt immediately. The Empire's territories were thrown into chaos. Planets that had lived under the Empire's rule for centuries suddenly found themselves without a strong government. Rebel factions, some friendly to humanity, began to rise, while others took advantage of the power vacuum to seize control. Humanity had become the symbol of resistance. Their unexpected triumph against a superior force was spreading hope to countless worlds. It was clear that the Empire had not been the only force of oppression in the galaxy. Now, many species were looking to humanity, wondering if they could offer a new way forward. As Earth began to rebuild, Ji-hyun took on the challenge of helping to unite these fractured worlds. It was not going to be easy, but humanity had something that the Empire never had: the power of unity. They were one species, no matter the differences in culture or background. And that unity, forged in the fires of war, was their greatest weapon. Ji-hyun knew that there would be those who would try to take advantage of humanity's victory. The fight for control of the galaxy was far from over. But humanity was different now. They had faced down an impossible enemy, and they had survived. The rest of the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to challenge them. "We will lead, but not as conquerors," Ji-hyun said in a speech broadcast to the galaxy. "We will lead with compassion, with fairness, and with respect for the freedom of all. We will not repeat the mistakes of the past. Together, we will build a new future for everyone." The message was received across countless worlds. For the first time in history, humanity had proven that even the most powerful empires could be brought to their knees. And as the galaxy watched, a new hope began to rise. Back on Earth, Ji-hyun stood once again, looking out at the horizon. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it seemed bright. Humanity had made their mark on the galaxy, and the stars that once belonged to the Empire now held the promise of a new beginning. With their greatest enemy defeated, humanity was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And this time, they would not just survive, they would thrive.